Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. I am super crusty, right? I'll be honest. It's in the morning, and the morning is when I have the most energy and when I feel like creating and when I'm like more myself. At the end of the day, creating, it doesn't work for me because I'm tired and I'm crabby and I'm not going to give you my best self. So I'm going to create any of the content that needs to be created in the morning from now on. So that's why we're here today. I'm starting a class and I am practicing with you guys today. And it's not supposed to be perfect, it might be boring. But my mission today is to get comfortable on the camera, to get comfortable with presenting this material and to get comfortable with this software system as well. So, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Mila, and I may be your sister, I may be your cousin, I may be a stranger, I may be your friend's mom, I may be your friend, and I may be your tia, I may be your mom. So, motherly vibes here, okay? Motherly vibes, big sister vibes, little cousin vibes, maybe niece vibes. Anyways, what I want to teach to you, my family class, and whoever else is here, this class is free for you, is about grief. Recently, we lost my grandma on my mom's side, and that was just so sad. And it bubbled up all the memories of all the other losses that came too. And me being on my journey of how to keep my peace, knew that this is an important topic. We should talk to our children about this and talk to each other about this and share so that we feel better and maybe show the light to other people of different positive ways to express your grief. Okay. And second, I love looking at myself because I'm just so beautiful. And so I got to get used to seeing myself. Maybe I should just put a picture over myself so I can't see myself and distract myself. Um, because it's really not necessary for me to see me, to be honest, because I'm just looking at myself in the mirror. So, this is the material that I'm teaching in this series, and we're going to go through it. My original intention was just to do one page, but I'm going to word it word for word how it is here, and we can go back and go through it one by one and talk about it more slower. We're not doing all of that today, but let's see what we can get done because once I'm done, I'm done. So let's see how long I can go for. And there's no right or wrong, Melissa. It's okay. Nobody's judging you. You're just trying to share this information so other people know what to do with their grief feelings, pretty much. Okay. So, if you or a loved one is dealing with loss, it can be helpful to learn more about the grieving process. Here we share 5 strategies of grief along with a few ways to help someone who is grieving after a death or a breakup. It's important to remember that grieving process can be complex and it isn't the same for everyone. These steps may not be followed exactly, or other feelings may surface after you thought you were through with that stage of grieving. Allowing room to experience grief in your own ways can help you heal after loss. What are the 5 stages of grief? The 5 stages of grief is a theory developed in psychiatrist Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. It suggests that we go through 5 distinct stages after the loss of a loved one. These stages are denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and final acceptance. Denial is the first stage of grieving process. Denial helps us minimize the overwhelming pain of loss. As we process the reality of loss, we also are trying to survive emotional pain. It can be hard to believe that we just lost an important person in our lives, especially when we may have just spoken with them the previous week or even the previous day. During this stage in grieving, our reality has shifted completely. It can take our minds time to adjust to our new reality. We reflect on the experiences we've shared with the person we lost, and we might find ourselves wondering how to move forward in life without this person. This is a lot of information to explore and a lot of painful imagery to process. Denial attempts to slow this process down and takes us through it one step at a time, rather than risk the potential of feeling overwhelmed by our emotions. Denial is not only an attempt to pretend that the loss does not exist, we are also trying to absorb and understand what's happening. Anger. The second stage in grieving is anger. We are trying to adjust to a new reality and are likely experiencing extreme emotional discomfort. There is so much to process that anger may feel like it allows us to emotional to no, wait. There is so much to do in this process that anger may feel like it allows us an emotional outlet. Keep in mind that anger does not require us to be very vulnerable. However, it may feel more socially acceptable than admitting that we are scared. Anger allows us to express emotion with less fear of judgment or rejection. Also, anger also tends to be the first thing that we feel when starting to release emotions related to loss. This can leave us feeling isolated in our experience. It can also cause us to be perceived as unapproachable by others in moments when we could benefit from comfort and connection and reassurance. How anger can affect your health. Bargaining. When coping with loss, it isn't unusual to feel so desperate that you are willing to do anything to alleviate or minimize the pain. During this stage in grieving, you may try to bargain to change the situation, agreeing to do something in return for being relieved of the pain that you feel. When bargaining starts to take place, we often direct our request to a higher power or something bigger than us that may be able to influence a different outcome. Bargaining during the grieving process can come in forms of a variety of promises, including God, if you can heal this person, I will turn my life around. I promise to be better if you will let this person live. I'll never get angry again if you can stop him or her from dying or leaving me. There is an accurate awareness of our humanness in this stage of grieving. When we realize that there is nothing that we can do to influence change or create a better end result. Bargaining comes from a feeling of helplessness and gives us a perceived sense of control over something that feels so out of control. During bargaining, we tend to focus on our personal faults or regrets. We might look back at our interactions with the person we are losing and note all the times that we felt disconnected or may have caused them pain. In common, it is common to recall times when we may have said things we did not mean and wish we could go back and behave differently. We also sometimes make the drastic assumptions that if things had played out differently, we would not be in such an emotional, painful place in our lives. Next is depression. During our experience of processing grief, there comes a time when our imagination calms down and we slowly start to look at reality of our present situation. Bargaining no longer feels like an option and we are faced with what is happening. In this stage of grieving, we start to feel the loss of our loved ones more abundantly. Our panic begins to subside and the emotional fog begins to clear, and the loss feels more present and unavoidable. In those moments, we tend to pull inward as the sadness grows. We might find ourselves retreating, being less sociable, and reaching out less to others about what we are going through. Although this is a very natural stage in the grieving process, dealing with depression after the loss of a loved one can be extremely isolating and one of the most difficult stages. Acceptance. The last of the five stages of grief is acceptance. When we come to a place of acceptance, it is not what we no longer feel the pain of loss. Instead, we are no longer resisting the reality of our situation. We are not struggling to make it something different. Sadness and regret can still be present in this place, but the emotional survival tactics of denial, bargaining, and anger are less likely to be present during this phase of the grieving process. How long do grief stages last? There is no specific time period for any of these stages. The one person may experience the stage quickly, such as in the matter of weeks, whereas another person may take months or even years to move through the stages of grieving. Whatever time it takes for you to move through these stages is perfectly normal. As we consider the five stages of grief, it is important to note that people grieve differently. So you may or may not go through each of these stages or experience them in order. The lines of the grieving process stages are often blurred. We may also move from one stage to another and possibly back before we fully move into a new stage. Additional grieving process models. Although the five stages of grief developed by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross is considered one of the most easily recognizable models of grief and bereavement, there are other models to be considered as well. Each one seeks to explain how grief may be perceived and processed. These models can provide greater understanding to people who are hurting over the loss of a loved one. They can also be used by those in healing professions helping them to provide effective care for grieving people who are seeking informed guidance. 4 phases of grief. Legendary psychological, how do you say it? Oh, I can't talk. Legendary psychologist. I think that's how you say psychologist. No, that's not how you say it. Psychologist John Bowlby focused his work on researching the emotional attachment between parents and children. From his perspective, early experiences of attachment with important people in our lives, such as caregivers, help to shape our sense of safety, security, and connections. British psychiatrist Colin Murray Parks developed a model of grief based on Bowlby's theory of attachment, suggesting there are 4 phases of mourning when experiencing the loss of a loved one. Oops. Shock and numbness. Loss in Loss in this phase feels impossible to accept, most closely related to Kubler-Ross's stages of denial. We are overwhelmed when we're trying to cope with our emotion. Parkes suggests that there is physical distress experience in this phase as well, which can lead to a somatic or physical symptoms, yearning and searching. As we process loss in this phase of grief, we may begin to look for comfort to fill this void our loved one has left. I'm going to cry because this one, me. We might do this. I've never read this before. We might do this by revealing memories through pictures and looking for signs from the person to feel connected to them. In this phase, we become very preoccupied with the person that we have lost. Despair and disorganization. We may find ourselves questioning and feeling angry in this phase. The realization that our loved one is not returning feels real, and we can have a difficult time understanding or finding hope in our future. We may feel a bit aimless during this portion of grieving process and retreat from others as we process our pain. Reorganization and recovery. In this phase, we feel more hopeful that our hearts and minds can be restored. As with Kubler-Ross's acceptance stage, sadness or longing for our loved one doesn't dis- does doesn't disappear. However, we move forward healing and reconnecting with others for support, finding small ways to reestablish some normalcy in our lives, in our daily lives. 7 stages model of grief. Some suggest that there are 7 stages in grieving instead of only 4 or 5. These more complex models of the grieving process involve experiencing shock and denial. Whether a loss occurs suddenly or with some advance notice, it's possible to experience shock. You feel emotionally numb and may deny the loss. Pain and guilt. During these stages in grieving, the pain of the loss starts to set in. You may also feel guilty for needing more from family and friends during this emotional time. Anger and bargaining. You may lash out at people that you love or become angry with yourself, or might try to strike a bargain with a higher power, asking that the loss be taken away in exchange for something on your part. Depression and loneliness. As you reflect on your loss, you may start to feel depressed or lonely. It is in this stage in grieving that you begin to truly realize the reality of your loss. The upward turn. To adjust to your new life, the intensity of the pain that you feel from the loss starts to reduce. And at this point in the grieving process, you may notice that you feel calmer. Reconstruction and working through. This stage in grieving involves taking action to move forward. You begin to reconstruct your new normal, working through any issues created by the loss. Acceptance and hope. In this final stage of grieving process, you begin to accept the loss and feel hope for what tomorrow might bring. It's not that all your feelings are gone, just more so that you're accepted them and are ready to move on. Well, class, we finished the whole packet. That was an awareness of what grieving is, just so on a high level, what you know, what grieving is, what's to come, what to expect. I want to talk more about healthy and unhealthy choices of grieving. They didn't have any of that in here. This was just an awareness of what grieving is, what are the stages is, and um and all of that. So if you've found something that works, definitely let us know. Hey, what worked for you while you were grieving? For instance, talking about your loved one, going through pictures, it's good. Crying, that's good. Get it out. Take a minute. Cry it. You just saw my little bipolar ass crying for a second and then stopped. Have the moment. Give your body the permission to grieve. You don't have to bury your feelings. You can be angry. There's places nowadays where like you can go and like axe throwing or like smashing glass and stuff like that. Like there's like a lot of like different kind of activities to get that anger emotion out, because blowing up on people, that's not okay. Being passive aggressive to other people, that's not okay just because you're angry. Taking your anger out on other people or animals is not okay. God's watching you. So check yourself. Check yourself so that other people don't have to check you. Okay? And just know that if somebody's checking you and you're in the middle of grieving, it's out of love. It's out of love because we need to wheel your ass in. We need to wheel you in. Sorry not to swear, but we got to wheel you in and be like, hey, listen, I know you're grieving. You're going through a hard time right now. We're here for you. How can I support you? What are you feeling right now? Do you need an ear to talk to? Do we need to, go work out, go for a walk around the block, take the dogs for a walk, go to the park with the kids? How can I support you? Because I don't want to see you in pain for a long period of time. Like it's okay if you want to figure it out yourself, but as family, we can't let each other sink. I'm not going to stand by and just watch people sink. If you're in my circle, you know that the Mila is here to be your lifeguard, Not that I'm taking all the responsibility for you, but I want you to know and I want you to be aware so that you, as you grow, hey, death is a part of life. Breaking up with friends or boyfriends or girlfriends or whatever, it's part of making healthy decisions. So, I mean, don't feel bad for feeling bad for having to go through this part of life. And it's a tough conversation. It's better to have the conversations just to like, hey, this is going to happen to you. If it hasn't happened, So this is how it works, but it's not going to be fun. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be messy. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be emotional. But at the end, you will get a new day and you will get a new start. And just know that that time is coming. Set an alarm. Hey, I'm going to grieve for 15 minutes. Do it in the morning. I do. Get it out of the way so that you gave that space, time for that, so that when it comes up throughout the day, you already feel more prepared. So what's helped me during this process is tapping in to the resources that are out there, like these pamphlets, or even I bought audible books that I shared with some of my cousins to help me feel confident, so that when grief comes, I'm like, oh, okay, it's okay to feel this way. um so yeah, love you guys. It's 26 minutes and I got through the whole packet. I didn't think that I was. And so I have a lot of resources that we're going to be sharing in our different classes. So if you haven't signed up for any of the workshops, they're all free, of course. So let me know and we can send you the agenda. We're going to be talking about this high level: anxiety, OCD, and perfectionism, introduction to treatment and functions of emotions, the happiness trap, part 1, the happiness trap, part 2, cognitive flexibility, cognitive distortion, and CBT charts, so that you understand that. What is CBT? Self-acceptance, facing fears, moving forward with my life project. We got a lot. Welcome to the club. Don't forget to subscribe if you like this, or you know other people that may want to be a part of our family. Hit us up, send them a link it up. If you need extra money, link it up, join our team, no excuses. I'll go back and put it in this video later. But yeah, bye. See ya.